I'm not a doctor myself, but based on the conversations that I've had tonight with a number of you, I think we don't need a president's dinner, we need a big collective therapy session. So I'd like to kind of start by making two quick observations. The first thought of this morning was a quote from our president, Etienne Davignon, in whose honor we have this president's dinner, and I have to apologize on behalf of him because he just texted me half an hour ago that he has a blocked back. So unfortunately, he's not here tonight. So that's a reason the more to quote him. And it's the first thought that I had this morning watching television. He regularly says, things are rarely as good in life as they seem, but they're also never as bad as they appear to be. It's not a haiku, but like a haiku, I will read it twice. Things are rarely as good as they seem, but they're also never as bad as they sometimes appear to be. I think it's an interesting lesson. Second quote I want to share with you comes from Archbishop Tutu and was brought to us this morning at an event by Mary Robinson, the former Irish president. And apparently Archbishop Tutu at some point was asked, where does your eternal optimism come from? And his reply was, I'm not an optimist at all. I'm just a prisoner of hope. And I think that's also kind of an interesting statement to realize that we have to just work with the cards that we're given. And whether the glass is half empty or half full, get on with things and let's take the action, which is based on factually underpinned hope, is what I would say. In any case, I think, dear friends, the external factors around us have never made it more compelling case to have a stronger and more effective EU. So yes, we all know challenges are overwhelming for the European Union. But frankly, if I look at our GDP, our living standards, our creative and socially adjusted economies, if we cannot recreate a path towards a promising and ambitious future, we can only blame ourselves. Yeah? So I'd like to leave you with two quick considerations. The first one is obviously all of us as individuals, we're sitting within different organizations, we have different kinds of responsibilities. So obviously most of us, none of us probably, can have an impact on everything. So for us to be effective, I think we may have to be a bit more focused in future, rather than to do too many things simultaneously with questionable impact. So I think focus is not necessarily a value judgment of one thing being more important than the other. It's just a matter of where can we be most useful to have an impact. And that's why, Friends of Europe, we work with citizens, we work on youth leadership, we work on disinformation, because we believe we can contribute. We work on health and climate change, because we believe we can help make a difference. We work on our Ukraine initiative because we still think we can help advance Ukraine's interests as part of the defense of our own democracies also. And we work on, and I mentioned it before, Africa-Europe relations because we feel we have the levers to also help create a more modern Africa-Europe partnership, or as it was called this morning, a grand bargain between two continents that frankly, because of their geographical and other linkages, are simply bound to deepen their relationship. And the second consideration, while we are gathered here and enjoy each other's company and reflect together, and tomorrow we have another exchange of views at our annual State of Europe, I have to say some of the people that I admire are not in this room. And some of them simply because they don't have the luxury of having theoretical discussions about how best to tackle the future. Because they are in the middle of shaping it while, for instance, being bombed and attacked in Ukraine, or for that matter in Sudan, Gaza, Lebanon, or while being threatened or imprisoned for their democratic activity, or homes flooded in Spain and elsewhere because of climate change. So I would just say, let those people's actions and personal fights for survival create this sense of urgency that we need and inspire us into action now. So, to go back to our therapy session tonight, I'm delighted we've managed to bring some great people together, people that, first of all, I respect professionally a lot, but also people for whom I have a lot of personal affinity because of the great quality as persons they have. Nice people. And I think we should not take that as a given, because I want to close by a small poetic evocation. You know that in this increasingly polarized world, Friends of Europe constantly tries to bridge separate worlds. And we're constantly heeding the advice of our board that says, make sure you don't only talk to the like-minded people. Make sure you don't only preach to the converted, which is exactly what we try to do at Friends of Europe. But obviously, and here comes the poetic evocation, that also comes with challenges. So the poetic evocation, I have to admit, is not mine. It was sent to us by a member of the European Parliament. I'm not going to give his name, but he's a member of the Party of Europe of Sovereign Nations. And the poetic evocation after an invitation to join us for State of Europe is the following. Morning. This invitation is a provocation. Gods von Berlichingen would say, as always, I have due respect for your imperial majesty, but tell him he can kiss my ass. So we're doing our best, but it's not always very successful. To close, back to our mass therapy session of tonight, first of all, obviously, we can't do this without the support of all our partners. You see them on the banners here, from Coca-Cola Europe, Edwards Life Sciences, the Commission's Citizens' Equality, Rights and Values Programme, Environment Agency, European Investment Bank, Fondazione Cariplo, the John Latsis Foundation, McKinsey Global Institute, and Vodafone. So thank you very much for supporting today and or our State of Europe tomorrow. So I think, yeah. And finally, of course, I need to also thank the great medical team of Friends of Europe that is here to take care of all of you. I'm not going to give all the names. It's a full team effort with loads of people involved, from logistics, database work, programs, partnership development, etc., but all very ably coordinated this year by Tom and Natalie. So thank you to the team of Friends of Europe.